have something to tell you all. You've been the victims of a cruel experiment. I'm sorry. Welcome back, DPReview TV viewers. It is Jordan Drake, and yes, you were all the victims of a selfish experiment. I'm trying to answer a question that I ask myself every morning when I wake up: am I out of touch? Now, we've been shooting the show in a very similar style since the earliest days of the Camera Store TV. I would say the production value's gone up a lot, but some of the core rules that we use when we film an episode really haven't changed, aside from when we switched from 30 frames per second to 24 frames per second about 6 years ago. So what we did in our recent 90D episode is I shot the episode completely different. We switched from 24 to 30 frames per second. I didn't put ND filters on the lens, so we found ourselves shooting very fast shutter speeds, much faster than the usual 48th of a second that we tend to do. We had Chris vlog. We had fun transitions in it. I even utilized one of my least favorite cinematic devices, the jump cut. And all of this was done in an effort to shoot something that's a little more in line with what we're seeing a lot of YouTubers using today.
Okay, so I just got to see the video, and what I actually really enjoyed were the fun transitions. I think that adds some levity, it's cool, I didn't mind that at all. What I absolutely didn't like though was the fast shutter speeds. We do a lot of fun camera movements and walk and talks, and I find it really jarring. I think NDs are essential. And actually the thing that doesn't bother me is 30p. I shoot for another outfit, I do 30p myself, and I like that just fine. But you know, Jordan's really cinematic. Let's just all let him have this. Don't give him a hard time about that, okay? But I do want to talk also from the perspective of being the presenter, because it did make a change. You see a lot of presenters, they'll talk, they'll put out a lot of information, and there's a lot of jump cuts in there. And I'm not convinced that's style. I think that's really just a way for them to talk and talk and talk. And if there's something they don't like, just chop it out and the aesthetic is fine. Personally though, I actually found that the most difficult part, because we've worked for a decade on getting through with one long take. So throughout the whole process, if I made a mistake, I just wanted to reset the scene and do it again in one take. And Jordan actually had to tell me, no, we'll do jump cuts to fill it in. That means you have to find a lot of coverage, a lot of B-roll if you want to make it look seamless. And I think if you have a presenter that is able to do long takes well, that actually saves a lot of time and trouble for the person who's doing it in post and editing it afterwards.
So as Chris mentioned, a lot of this is stuff that still annoys me after this little experiment, but some of it was kind of interesting. I do think I'll throw more fun transitions in, although hopefully they'll be a little bit less cliched than what I used in this particular episode. And I've got to say, when you're shooting this way, not having to mess around with ND filters, you can work a lot faster. And the other really nice thing is, when you're using those fast shutter speeds, tools like digital stabilization after the fact work much better than they do when we're using our standard 48th of a second shutter speeds. So it does mean I might not have to drag a gimbal around as long as I'm okay sacrificing a little bit of resolution. But some of this stuff still drives me crazy. I mean, jump cuts when you're out in the real world, especially if the camera's moving or stuff is moving in the background, I still find it incredibly distracting. If you're in a more controlled space like we are right now, where we don't have a moving background or any kind of light shifting in the background, I don't think it's too terribly obtrusive there, but it's still not my favorite aesthetic, and I cannot get used to the fast shutter speed look. Anytime Chris's hands are moving, anytime the camera's moving, especially when you have these vertical lines in the background and a moving camera, it just immediately takes me out of whatever the presenter is trying to say. All I can notice is the fast shutter speeds. I still can't get used to the look of 30 frame per second footage for our show. We've had to use it quite a bit recently thanks to Canon's bizarre decision to omit 24 frame per second 4K from some of their recent cameras. So things like the G7X3 versus G5X2 video or the M6 Mark II review that we just posted, those are all shot at 30. And even when I'm using the classic 1/60th of a second shutter speed, I still don't love the look of it, so I'll be going back to 24 frames per second as soon as I possibly can. Okay, so you've heard my opinion, you've heard Chris's perspective, but the most important thing is what you all think of this different aesthetic. So a little peek behind the curtain. I'm recording this right now, the day before our 90D review goes live. Of course, by the time you can see this, it'll be available for you to watch. But Chris is going to come over tomorrow morning as I'm reading those first comments, and we're going to find out what you all think. Now, I'm thinking it's going to be about half positive, half negative, which really won't tell me anything, but I'm hoping that we'll see a huge skew one direction or the other, and we'll see what you all think. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, let's do this. Okay, so we're back now. It's the next morning, And the video's been live for about 7 hours, and we've got already hundreds of comments. I gotta say, I'm pretty shocked by the results. The thing that just drove me nuts with this video, the fast shutter speeds, literally no one has commented on it on YouTube or the DP review forums. That and the jump cuts didn't really seem to throw people as well. There were a couple comments on like, oh, nice new transitions, or transitions are cheesy. But that seems to be the big standout for it. So the experiment was, is Jordan out of touch? And I guess, yeah, I kind of am. Now, that doesn't mean I'm gonna go shoot all of our episodes now at fast shutter speeds with jump cuts, because I still wanna make myself happy when I shoot these. But it does mean maybe I can loosen those rules a little bit and not obsess over things like this so much. But thank you so much for being our guinea pigs on this experiment, even though you didn't apparently realize that you were guinea pigs on the experiment. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. So be sure to follow us on Instagram, on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe so that you can see upcoming episodes shot at normal shutter speeds where I'm wearing clothes. You can all look forward to that, and we will see you all again very soon.